reading, you want to look at the space in between. Okay, and always try to look ahead. Give it a try. Remember, count 2 measures in and B flats and relax. Count 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, one more time.
1,
Keep going.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, I think that's good enough. All right, well, I guess that is the end of today. And I am just going to give you a little bit of a homework here. So these right here are the steps you want to take. I didn't really go in the same order. And then here are 2 exercises. So every day before you actually start practicing playing your solo repertoire pieces, I want you to go through like maybe 5 minutes of sight reading, or maybe even 3 minutes, and then, yeah, just to do that, because it's really important to do sight reading. So, if anyone ever asks you to play, while you've never practiced the piece, you'll be able to do it. Okay? Yeah, so, and it also helps you with actual reading skills, because it helps you with your There are 6 steps to sight reading. Number 1 is to identify the number of beats in a measure. And then number 2 is tap the rhythm and hear it in your head. And number 3 is to find the sharps and flats in the exercise. And number 4 is to find out the highest and lowest notes for each hand. Number 5 is to find the patterns or similarities in the exercise. And number 6 is find the articulations and dynamics that is in the exercise. How many beats is in a measure?
3.
1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, let's do it together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Try tapping both hands together now. The next step to this is to identify the sharps and flats. So are there any sharps and flats in here?
No.
What's this?
F sharp.
It's an F sharp. So you do have a sharp. So it's the F sharp. So you've identified that. Now, the next step is to find the highest note for the right hand. So what is the highest note for the right hand?
D.
Yep, the D is the highest note for the right hand. Now, what is the lowest note for the right hand?
G.
A G. How about the highest note for the left hand?
G.
And then the lowest note for the left hand?
F.
F.
Sharp.
Yes, F sharp. That's correct. Now, the next step is to find the patterns or similarities in the piece. But before we do that, I want to define what an interval is. An interval is kind of like the steps on a staircase. So it's the distance between the steps from this G to this next space right here is called a second. So it's an interval of a second. If I'm asking you to go from the G to this B right here, what interval would it be?
Third.
Yes, interval of a third. How about you write it? Now, and from this G to this F.
8. Oh, 7.
A 7, correct. How about from this G to this G?
8.
Technically it's correct, but it has another name. It's called an octave. Beautiful. Very good. Okay, now our next step is to actually find the patterns and the similarities in this piece. So do you see anything that's kind of similar in here, in the right hand? Anything that looks alike?
Well, this is
Going
going
down, yes. It's going down.
and
That one's going up. Correct. That's very good. Just going second all the way down, and then right here, it's just doing the opposite. The next step now is, are there any articulations or dynamics in here? There are no articulations, but how about dynamics, which is telling you how loud or soft a piece goes? Is there any indication in here? No. Okay, so there are no dynamics or articulations. Yes? All right. Now, the most important thing about sight reading is to not stop once you've started. Even though if you made a mistake, just keep going. Don't ever go back and, fix a mistake. And then the other thing is, you have 3 tries for sight reading because after the 3rd time, it's considered practicing. Before you start playing, I want you to count 2 measures in. Okay, one more time. Don't stop this time though. Good, that's correct. I want you to tell me one more time, what are the 6 steps to sight reading?
identify the number of beats in a measure, tap the rhythm, and the head.
And then?
See if there's any sharps or flat. See if there's any dynamics or
Articulation.
articulation.
And?
See if there's anything similar.
Highest or lowest note, right? Yep. So those are the 6 steps. So I will give you that, so you can use it while you're actually, trying to play a new piece. I want you to answer these questions right here. These 6 questions, which also relates to the 6 steps of sight reading. So, and then I want you to put it in your journal or your notebook, just to answer those questions about the piece that you like. And then that would be your homework. And that would be the end of today. So do you have any questions about anything we went through? When I taught my original sight reading lesson, I did not think about using learning theories, strategies, or assessments suggested in the Ormrod text. My original lesson was not well organized. I was unprepared in terms of having a lesson plan. I did not allow sufficient time for my student to absorb information or ask questions. I did not explicitly identify the 6 steps of sight reading or clearly define important terms for my student. After taking this course, my study group and I decided that the behaviorist theory was the most prominent learning theory seen in my lesson. I also concluded that I need to combine strategies from a few different learning theories in order to help my student learn more efficiently. The most effective strategy used in my retaught lesson was using an analogy. I explained that intervals are like the distance from one step to another. However, I could have encouraged my student to express herself while playing the sight reading exercise. Sight reading is not supposed to be scary. I wanted to make my student feel safe and free to express herself. I was supposed to ask my student, in what situations in life outside of class will you have to sight read a piece of music? But I ended up answering the question myself. There are two things I would change to both my original lesson and retaught lesson. I need to film my students and my entire body when I teach a lesson. The position of the body is a very important aspect for a musician. I should have not been sitting on the same bench as my student. My actions have restricted my student's body movement. Next time, I will make sure I sit on a separate chair. For my redesign lesson, I would give my student the option to choose a sight reading exercise. I would like to provide my student with sight reading exercises that are from well-known television shows, cartoons, and movies.